What is the ancient Bible before the Bible?
Long before the New Testament, a Greek translation of Israel's scriptures was quietly changing the course of history. It became the Bible of the Hellenistic Jewish world, and the very wordings Jesus' followers quoted. This is the Septuagint, Greek Old Testament, and its story will surprise you.
The Septuagint, or often abbreviated LXX, is a Greek translation of Jewish scriptures.
It began with the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, and later grew to include other books familiar to Christians as the Old Testament, and some books not found in the Hebrew Masoretic text.
Why translate the scriptures into Greek? After Alexander the Great, Greek language and culture spread across the eastern
Mediterranean. Large Jewish communities, especially in Alexandria, Egypt, their phlegm, spoke Greek, not Hebrew.
They needed scripture in the language they actually read. Scholars think the translation process happened over time. First the Pentateuch, later the prophets and writings, and still later other works. It was practical, pastoral, and cultural, to preserve Jewish faith in a Greek-speaking world. There's an enduring story, the Letter of Aristeas, that says 72 Jewish elders were brought from Jerusalem
to Alexandria and translated the Torah in 72 days, producing identical translations. This legend explains the name Septuagint, 70, and underlines the LXX's ancient prestige. Historians treat the Aristeas story as pious legend. It promotes the translation's authority and civic harmony more than it records exact facts. In reality, the translation was likely a more complex, multi-author, multi-stage process. According to the Letter of Aristeas, the translation of the law was commissioned by Ptolemy II Philadelphus, the king of Egypt. Ptolemy was a great patron of learning and the founder of the Library of Alexandria, which sought to collect every book in the known world. He desired a Greek copy of the Jewish law to add to his royal library, and so he sent his librarian, Demetrius of Phalerum, to Jerusalem.
Demetrius brought rich gifts and a formal letter to the high priest Eleazar, requesting that wise elders be sent to translate the sacred writings.
72 scholars, 6 from each tribe of Israel, were chosen and brought to Alexandria, where Ptolemy welcomed them with honor.
The legend claims that although they worked separately, each produced the same translation, seen as a sign of divine guidance.
Under Ptolemy Philadelphus, the Torah first spoke in Greek, paving the way for the scriptures that would shape both synagogue and church.
Whether legend or history, this tale reflects a time when the Greek and Jewish worlds met in the pursuit of wisdom.
Which part of the Old Testament was translated first in Greek?
Lists. The best evidence shows the Pentateuch was translated first, because Jewish life and worship depended on the Torah. Over the next centuries, prophetic books and writings were translated. Along the way, versions and collections
varied, resulting in the textual diversity we see in LXX manuscripts.
Why did the gospel writers quote from the LXX?
And here's a crucial point. The New Testament authors frequently quote the Old Testament quote, and they often quote the Greek wording that matches the Septuagint. Why?
The New Testament was written in Koine Greek. Quoting the Greek Old Testament fit naturally in Greek prose.
Many Jewish communities, and likely many Jewish Christians, use the LXX as their scripture. It was the familiar text.
Theological resonance. Some LXX renderings express theological nuances that the gospel writers found helpful.
Why did the gospel writers quote from the LXX? For showing how Jesus fulfills prophecy. That does not automatically mean the apostles abandoned Hebrew sources.
In many cases, the underlying thought or Hebrew vorlage shaped the Greek quotation. Sometimes the NT author quotes LXX verbatim,
Sometimes he paraphrases, and sometimes he cites a variant that agrees with Hebrew or other traditions.
Did apostles quote Greek or Hebrew?
Short answer, both. Practically, when writing in Greek, they used Greek texts or Greek memory phrases. The oral synagogues and scriptures of the day were often in Greek.
But Hebrew readings and traditions still existed, and sometimes the New Testament reflects Hebrew idioms.
Or direct knowledge of a Hebrew reading.
The Septuagint is essential. It is not simply a corrupt version of Hebrew. It is a living witness that records how Scripture was read,
translated and understood in the Hellenistic world.
For Christians, it explains why the New Testament sometimes quotes Scripture the way it does.
For students of the Bible, the LXX is an indispensable textual witness canon, a partner, not an enemy, to the Hebrew tradition.
If you found this helpful, hit like and subscribe.